A very good afternoon to you, and I'd like to welcome you to this special presentation on vvoice.com. This is a presentation about detoxification. As you're aware, we're living in a world today where there's a lot of diseases, a lot of deaths, and so many negative things are happening to people today. If we compare what has been happening in the ancient time, we could see that there were cases of epidemics and cases of plagues and all kinds of things happening. But throughout all of these things, people have been looking for ways and means by which they can take care of their health, become healthier individuals. They can become better at what they do without having to suffer from all of these things that are happening in their environment. Today, we want to talk about the concept of detoxification, but we want to look at it in a natural way, the natural method of detoxification. I'm Dr. Kris, and I'm going to be your host for this program. I want you to sit back and relax and just let's talk about this concept of detoxification. In our modern world today, we see a lot of infomercials, lots of things happening on the internet, lots of things on televisions, and so many other areas. People chat with each other, they talk about what they can do to make their bodies healthier. We see so many kinds of strategies and techniques that are out there to make our system healthier. So we see a lot of things happening when it comes to detoxification. So many products are in the environment, and people are looking for ways and means by which they can become healthier. The big question is, what really is health? That's the question that we want to ask at this point in time. If we look at the old definition for health, we'll see health is the absence of disease. That really is a very simple way of putting this thing. It's an easy thing to remember, of course, but when we look at what really is happening in the modern world today, we need to add something a little more to just than the mere absence of disease. So the World Health Organization has come up with something of a little different nature. They add things pertaining to the social aspects of people. People must be able to function, not just be able to refrain from having diseases or not having diseases. They should be able to function in their environments. They should be able to function in a society. They should be able to take care of their families and earn. One should go beyond simply talking about the absence of diseases. So health is much more than that. But here's another question for you. We want to know, like, how do you recognize when somebody is healthy? Now, that's a very important question. You can watch someone and you can tell if this person is having some kind of difficulty. Can you do that? Well, people have been trying that, of course, because you will watch an individual and say, boy, you're looking good today. Or you're looking like you're glowing. You're looking like you're spreading out an energy, and you seem to be having quite a burst of energy. So people sometimes examine the way people are looking, the way people are acting, the way people are feeling. Even yourself, you look at yourself sometimes and you will know, are you having this right amount of energy? Is that what is health all about? Now, there are a couple of things that you can look at. Couple of things that you can check, but it's not foolproof in the sense that you can just watch these things and you can say, well, you're healthy or you're unhealthy. Take, for example, when you wake up in the morning and you're getting off the bed, and this is what happens to a lot of people, right? They feel very sluggish. They just can't get off the bed. They want to go for another hour. So they will say to themselves, let's just go for another hour. I'm going to sleep a little bit more. Even though the sun has risen, and that, in my estimation, is not a good thing when you're on the bed, but people sometimes just keep going and going. Why? Because they feel sluggish. Things are not well. And when they get up, they're having great stiffness in the muscles. Things don't seem to work out too well when they go to the bathroom too. Constipation steps in. So energy is decreased, sluggishness is there, they just don't feel right. If you talk to them, they snap at you. They just snap at you because there are things happening in their system. And we're not talking here about people having these special kinds of diseases when they're having these problems, like nervous disorders and so on. I'm not talking about those kinds of situations. I'm talking about people generally having these dispositions. They get up sluggish, lack of energy, and so many negative things are happening to them. Even their relationships seem to be having issues. Their sexual energy is gone down. And if you watch these things happening to individuals, you will see weight management is a problem. The way they feel, they don't want to just do anything. They're just lethargic, just lazy, like, and they don't have this kind of energy. They're not glowing, as you would say. And these are some of the little symptoms that you can look at and you can tell right away that something's not right here. Something is wrong. So these are little things that one can look at. But remember, it is not foolproof in the sense that you can just watch somebody and say, this is a healthy individual. You have to do your test, various tests, medical tests, to make sure that you're healthy or not. And so that brings us to an important concept of what people have been talking about. To an large quantity of people have been talking about this. It's widespread in the world today, and it has to do with what we call self-detoxification. So the big question is, people are jumping into various streams of detoxification, trying out different methods, and they want to clean themselves out from the toxins that are in their systems. So they say a clean body and mind are prerequisites for a healthy life. These things are necessary and important for making yourself healthy. But let's look at detoxification a little more seriously and see if there is something that we can try to understand, come to grips with. You see, detoxification is a medical procedure. It is something that the doctor is supposed to do with you. And they do have some procedures in the hospitals where the doctor will give you certain kinds of medication. They would do certain kinds of things in order to help to cleanse the system out. Even to some extent, we can classify colonoscopy and those kind of things can be seen in some respect as cleaning your system out. Although they're using it for a number of different purposes, it does offer some kind of cleansing to the intestinal tract. So we do see some kind of these things happening in the hospital. But in today's world, people are all over the place looking on the internet, checking out with friends and so many other people, and they're coming up with what we call self-detoxification. Try it at home, they say. This is something that is going to make things work. So why do we want to detox? You see, today, we have a lot of things happening in the environment out there. We have pollutants, a number of chemicals present in the air. It's present in the water. It's present in the food that we consume. So all these things are getting into our system, and they're having a hard time to come out of the system. Some of it is going to be passed out, as we'll talk about in a short while. But a lot of these things have to be given, the body has to be given some kind of assistance to try to get rid of these substances from your system. So detoxification, they're saying, is a necessary process, even the self-detoxification. But you know something? People sometimes jump into things that they are not quite aware of, and they put themselves in trouble. Because you just simply can't go on the internet and just read a little piece of thing and says, oh, I think this is the right thing for me. I just need this here. You need guidance. But let me tell you, the body has its own detoxification system. There is a skin, right? We have the skin, we have the kidneys, we have the immune system, we have the intestinal tract, and other things present in our body. We have systems in the body that will help in detoxification. Take the skin, for example. When you sweat, you pass out some of the impurities that are present in your blood system. When you pass the feces out, you pass out some of the toxins, some of the chemicals, some of the things in the food that you have eaten. Some of these things will pass out into your system. Excess acid, for example, some of these will pass out into your system. So we see some kind of things happening with the body, but many of the doctors will argue that the human body is bogged down with the chemicals that are so prevalent, even things in paint. the things in the atmosphere which you breathe in is coming into the lungs and is causing so many difficulties. The food that you're eating has pollutants inside of it. So many things are happening right around your environment. And you know, some kinds of medical practices says even your thought, your thinking can bring on toxins into your system. So there are many things that are happening, and there is argument here for trying to assist the body, even though it has so many mechanisms, so many techniques and strategies by which it can bring these chemicals to a balance and get it out of your system, of course, and bring the body back into a balance. These are important arguments to say that we need to assist the body, because today the body is pretty bogged down with these chemicals. So we want to help the body in some respect or the other. We want to look at the way in which we can improve our health, make things better. These are some of the objectives of detoxification. Getting rid of toxin, make your energy a little higher, manage the weight, tend to make you a little more energetic. These are some of the concepts that have been given in relation to making yourself a little healthier and getting rid of the toxins from your body. So they're saying these are some of the reasons by which we need to understand, which we need to know. We need to put those behind our mind, in our thoughts, so that we can go through the process of detoxification. So these are some of the reasons as to why we detox. But let me caution you here, because you need to understand, as I said earlier on, detoxification is a medical process, really. And you will see as I continue that there are some difficulties that people are not talking about when it comes to the various methods of detoxification. So one of the best things I would say is you need to check with your doctor to see what is happening. In the meantime, in a simplistic way, if you have been experiencing some of the things that I've been talking about, perhaps you need to go through the process of a simple form of detoxification. But it's always wise to check with the doctor, because these are important considerations. I want to introduce to you an old system that developed 5,000 years ago or more in the land of India. Ayurveda is described as a science of life. It is both a preventative procedure, method, system of medicine, as well as a curative one, a treatment one. So it deals both with prevention and treatment. It is sometimes referred to as traditional Indian medicine. In traditional Indian medicine, or Ayurveda, it has roots to these ancient texts. For example, it has roots to the Vedas. But over the centuries, Ayurveda has developed into a remarkable system of trying to bring the body in a state of balance. Similar to Chinese medicine, traditional Chinese medicine, Ayurveda talks about balance. Chinese medicine talks about balance. Ayurveda talks about balance. So these systems are all directed towards trying to bring the body into a state of balance. So Ayurveda has important things to offer when it comes to the process of detoxification. Now, an Ayurvedic doctor or a traditional medical doctor has the know-how about tongue diagnosis, looking at the tongue, diagnosing and trying to find out what's happening in your system. They can look at your eyes and tell a lot of things about your body. They can look at even your medical reports, as a matter of fact, and talk a lot about what's going on in your system. They have a remarkable method of diagnosing the pulse. You know, the doctors will take the pulse, they take like for 15 seconds, multiply it by 4, and they will get a number of beats per minute. Well, the Ayurvedic practitioner can determine what's happening inside of the organs. What's going on in the liver, for example, through the pulse diagnosis. They can do that through the tongue diagnosis. And this is a similar practice that is used in traditional Chinese medicine. So I'm just touching on it briefly, but I also want to tell you that Ayurveda has a remarkable system of detoxification. So it helps to a very great extent in terms of detoxifying your system. And here is some interesting points about it. First, it says detoxification is about trying to bring your body into a state of balance. You see, when you have these toxins in your system, they go deep down inside. There are some that will remain right in the intestine, some that you can get rid of quite easily. But there are some of them that go deep down into the microchannels. These are the small channels in your system that are not picked up by the microscope. These are sometimes described in this system of medicine as subtle channels, very, very tiny, and yet very, very important for proper health. You see what happens? The toxins can go into these subtle channels and clog them up. Then they can harden. And just like traditional Chinese medicine, Ayurveda talks about the movement of energy within your system. So when it talks about the movement of energy, and you have it talking about also these microchannels, energy has to move within these microchannels. So if the energy cannot move properly within these microchannels because they are clogged up, you're going to have a problem on your system. It will eventually, according to the principles of Ayurveda, it says there are 6 stages in the formation of a disease. And gradually things are going to change in these microchannels and elsewhere in your body. And you're going to end up with a problem on your hand. The process of detoxification is directed towards getting rid of simple toxins and more toxic ones that are extremely complex to get rid of. One last thing I want to point out here before we look at the additional points about Ayurveda is that Ayurveda talks about 3 special energies that make up our system. They call these the doshas. We have Vata dosha, Pitta dosha, and Kapha dosha. These are the 3 doshas that make our system. And the Ayurvedic practitioner can actually look at you, examine you through the pulse and other things, and come up with which energy is governing you. You see, when he carries out the detoxification, he's not simply prescribing the same thing for everybody. And that's the beauty of the traditional Indian medicine. One man's meat is another man's poison. It is not the same for everyone. So the Ayurvedic practitioner is going to stipulate what is most suitable for you for the detoxification process. And that is extremely important. Here's the next thing, as you're seeing on the screen right now. The next thing says there are specific times for detoxification. We can argue that it can be done just about any time. But there are specific times which are more suitable for the process of detoxification. And we are just closing off from one of them, actually, seasonal wise. When the winter changes into spring is considered as an ideal time for detoxification. Why? You see, nature was in slumber in winter. And when we come to the spring, there is an enlivenment. Things are changing. People come out from their seclusion. People come out, flowers are in bloom, nature is in full swing. We see different scents, we see different colors, we see different things happening. So, and the human body, according to Ayurveda, is made according to the same system of nature. Similar elements that make up nature, make up our system. So the body is responding in the same way. So according to traditional Indian medicine, they're saying this turnover position, this turnover point from winter to spring is an ideal one for cleansing your system. But I've said before, right, that it's not just taking anything and putting it in your system. The Ayurvedic practitioner will examine, determine what is best for you. Now let's talk a quick thing about what they call gel neti. Gel neti uses nasya, as you can see on the screen there. Nasya is described as nose, nasal passages. nose, trap. At this point in time, when things are so much happening in the environment there with respect to allergies and all this kind of thing, people decide it's time to clear the nostrils. So they get various chemicals to clear the nostrils. A simple thing that some people, the doctor recommends sometimes, is what they call these saline drops. Saline drops, you can purchase that in the drugstore. Remember, all the time I'm giving you examples, but you need to check with the doctor first, right? So putting a saline drop into your nostrils will quickly clear up any kind of blocks that you have here. But you could be having things like postnasal drips, which they say gel nati is very good at taking care of. It helps with that. It helps with the mucus in your system. Now, gel nati, the application of gel nati, I'll tell you what it is. It's a daily practice in many parts of India and in many other parts of the world. People wake up in the morning and they just drop little kinds of fluids. Sometimes it's bare water, but pure water, of course. They have a pot that is called a nati pot. They throw it through the water through one nostril and it drips down through the other. So it's like an irrigation process, nasal irrigation. They're cleaning out the nostril tract here. Well, one has to be careful because if you're having sinus issues, there are pockets here that are called sinus. These are the sinuses. People call the condition a sinus condition, right? But these cavities are the sinuses. So the condition is known as sinusitis. It's a little different, but they call it simply a sinus problem. You're saying I'm having a sinus problem. So what they mean basically is that the sinus has infections or mucus clogging up these areas here. So the gel nati, the application of gel nati, gel means water, nati is the pot that they're using here. So the application of that is going to help to bring this area to a cleanse, to cleaning out all the mucus and toxins that are there. It helps with that. So there is some degree of evidence that shows that this thing actually works for a lot of people. But more and more research is being done in this respect. Now, you have to be careful with the water in the sense it can get into these cavities, these sinuses we talked about. So we could have fluid retention in these areas. That's why I'm saying to you that these procedures have to be actually guided by a doctor. So it's very important to understand. There is a nasal drop that you've seen on the screen there a short while ago that you can actually use. You can actually pick up, from the center here we have these drops. You can actually get the drops and you can be able to cleanse out your system, or you can learn much more about it, of course. Diet is one of the biggest things when it comes to detoxification. People saying time to fast. Abstain from food, girl. It's a good thing, right? Fast for 2 days, 3 days, fast for 1 day, or fast for one meal. It's a good thing. Now you have to be careful, right? You see, when you go through the process of fasting, you're actually depleting your body of lots of important nutrients. And you see what Ayurveda says, that when you go through the process of detoxification, you have to go through the process of rejuvenation as well. It is not what some people have been doing. They're simply detoxing their bodies and they forget to rejuvenate. If you're going to detox, you're going to knock out the important chemicals, a lot of them, from your system. If you don't put them back, you're causing harm to your system. Here's a second point. When it comes to refraining from food items, you are removing some of the important ingredients from your system. So managing fast, therefore, is something that needs to be handled by an expert and not simply you deciding on your own. If you're suffering from a medical condition as well, you're convalescing, you're pregnant, breastfeeding, and these fasting is not recommended for you. If your body is extremely weak, fasting is not recommended for you. Now, when it comes to the diet, Ayurveda says that there are specific diets that they give to you during the period of fasting. Things like khichdi. You will see it spelled as khichdi. We call it a Caribbean thing. We say it's khichdi. Now, I think a lot of people out there know how to make khichdi, but khichdi has to be made with specific ingredients inside to function as a detoxification product. So you have to learn how to make it. You know how to make it, but you have to know how to put in the various ingredients, what to put inside, and how to cook it properly. And you can have this like about 2 to 3 times per week, because khichdi is excellent for you. Why? You know that those three energies we've been talking about just now, the Vata, the Pitta, the Kapha, those three energies are actually balanced by Khechri. And you see, when those energies are out of balance in your body, it's when you start getting the medical condition, the medical problems happening to you, not feeling right, feeling sluggish, energy gone. It's simply because your energies are not balanced in your system. And when I speak of energy, I'm not talking about just those energies that we talk about. These are subtle things in your system. In Ayurveda, these are called doshas. Slightly different thing. But time is not with us for us to go into details. But Khechri is an example. So the Ayurvedic practitioner is going to give you special instructions. Cardamom, ginger, and various spices are placed into this, and you can consume this, and it helps in a tremendous way. Now, when you go through the process of detoxification, you can do so like a one-day detox process. These are some things that Ayurveda recommend. You can have a one-day detox process. You can have 3 days of detoxification, or you can go up to 21 days of detoxification. Some people in some systems of medicine will actually talk about 45 days of detoxification. Hold a second, don't get worried, because when I say 45 days, I don't mean that you will be not eating for 45 days or you will just be going on this special diet for 45 days. No, there are many different things that you can do. But the simplest of the lot is just 1 day of detoxification. But here is a typical thing that people talk about sometimes. It's called the Master Cleanse diet. Now, the Master Cleanse diet is a popular diet that is used by Bollywood celebrities, Bollywood actors and actresses. The Master Cleanse diet is where they are going to eat special things throughout the day. They're going to be consuming a concoction, a mixture of lemon juice, maple syrup, water, and a few other things inside. They're going to put that together, and they are going to make a special concoction, a special drink. They're going to make about 7.5 glasses of that. 7.5 glasses, approximately 6 ounces. 1 ounce is like 1 glass is like 8 ounces. So they make about 60 ounces of that, and they're going to consume that throughout the day. And then in the evening time, they're going to take a laxative. So there is, according to the literature, they're saying there isn't much evidence to support this kind of detoxification, but yet it is a popular form of detoxification. If you look on the internet too, you'll see sometimes people talk about when you detox, all these various long, weird looking structures coming out of your system. According to some of the scientists, they're saying some of these pictures that are up there are fictitious. They're not really real, because if you study how things pass out of the system, and they talk about things adhering to the walls of the intestine, they're saying things don't adhere that quite easily to the walls of the intestine. So these might be very extreme cases that they are referring to. People might be having very, very serious medical condition, and they might very well need medical help in these situations. So diet has to be worked out when we go through the Ayurvedic detoxification process. And that's an important part of this system. I want to tell you about one little more thing pertaining to this process of detoxification. So let's look at how to detox. What should we do? Now, here's something of interest. You see a chemical, a bottle out there selling on the internet, and it says liver detox, intestinal support. And you say to yourself, well, you know what? I didn't clean my liver for a long time. So let me take some liver detox, and I'm going to clean out the liver. So you do that, and you say, I'm all set. I've done my week of detoxification, or how many days that you decide upon. You completed that. And you say, well, boy, my liver is clean now. I've done my stuff. But hear what you're doing wrong. And this is a lesson from traditional Indian medicine. I want you to look at a container of water. Let's say there are two systems here separated by a porous wall. So we have a cup, there's a porous wall, which means if you remove water from one side of this wall, water is going to run from the other side and come straight into this opposite side. What am I talking about? You see, when you remove the toxins from the liver and you don't pay attention to the toxins that are in the opposite areas and other parts of the body, very soon toxins from these other areas will go to these other places as well. So Ayurveda says, and this is important, total detox, not just one part of it. So you have to be guided in this process. You have to learn how to do this process well, and you have to be given the instructions so that you can have what is called a total body detox. That is very important. I've talked about time already, so that is important also. And you also have to get the proper products and guidance, and you also have to follow up with rejuvenation, which I've spoken about already. Now there is that caution that I've given you here, there is very important. You need to understand that you just can't detox one part of it. And so when it comes to detoxification, you really need to speak with somebody, an Ayurvedic doctor who knows about detoxification, if you choose so to follow the Ayurvedic system. If you choose to follow another system, you need to speak to someone who has the knowledge of that, and I'm talking about a medical practitioner, so that you can follow that system. Now, what are the products? Are there specific products that one can use when it comes to detoxification? Can I go in the Ayurvedic system and pick up some products out there? At the center, we have specific packages that you can use for a total detoxification. Now, here is an example. You can get one product which is going to cleanse out the intestine, and this is a simple form of detoxification. You can get another product which is going to work on the bloodstream, the blood system, and another one which is going to be working on the genitourinary tract. You get about 3 products, and then you get a 4th one which comes up after you finish with those 3. You get a 4th one which has a very powerful chemical inside, very powerful. It is actually made up of 3 fruits, and it's called Triphala. Triphala is a detoxification process and a detoxification product, and it actually has 3 fruits, Amalaki, Bibataki, and Harataki. Now, big names, right? But it has a slight laxative effect, and it has a chemical inside which has a very high source of vitamin C. So which means it offers a good amount of vitamin C in your system as well. You see how this one is set? Look at this product. You see how this product is set? It cleanses, but it's putting back stuff in your system. So Triphala is a product that is actually highly recommended by Ayurvedic practitioners. Many of the practitioners in Ayurveda would use this as a commencement of their treatment to their patients. They'll give it to their patients. They'll say this is ideal for starting you off. But 1 in a million people can actually end up with diarrhea. So for some reason or the other, because of the mild laxative effect, you can end up with diarrhea with respect to this product. And here's the second thing. You know, sometimes you have this constipation process and something wrong, you can't pass, or you go to the bathroom and you pass the feces in small quantities or fine pieces, fine strips. They say Triphala actually works very interestingly because scientific evidence has actually shown. They did a research with many researchers, but in the one I was looking at recently, they did a research with over 160 persons, dividing them into 2 groups. And one group, they gave them the Triphala, the other group was not given it. And the ones with the Triphala had better bowel motions. They were actually, it started to cleanse their system out. They started to see change in these people, started to see some kind of energy rise in their system. So the Triphala was actually assisting these people. But more research is being done on these Ayurvedic products. So it is, as I said, it's a good thing to get guidance and learn about the various products. The genitourinary product is also another one that has really great benefits in terms of cleaning out the genital tract, the urinary tract, and it can help in restoring the balance of these 3 energies. The one that works with the intestine They have two different ones here that are used. One can use for people who have acidity and people who don't have acidity. So the chemicals vary, the medicines vary that you will get. If you're having acidity, you get one type. If you're not, you get a different type. So like I said, Ayurveda looks at the individual. So my recommendation is not where you just go on the internet and you pick up a chemical or pick up a product and you say, this is something that you can do, you know, it's a good thing to do. You can find a lot of Ayurvedic products out there. Let's go to the slide on Triphala and you will see that it's high in antioxidants, and it's also as a good anti-inflammatory agent. It's antibacterial, antiviral, made up of 3 fruits, and it's really good for your system. So those are some of the products. Now the center has a lot of different kinds of products, and you can get your guidance in terms of what is good for you. There is Brahmi, for example, and I'm talking a little off the detoxification now. There is Brahmi, sometimes called Bacopa, Maneria. There is Ashwagandha, which is what we call an adaptogen. It is good for energy and good for muscle. In fact, some of the muscle builders actually use ashwagandha, and it also has some kind of sexual enhancement as well. So people have been talking about ashwagandha. There are things pertaining for treatment or helping to balance the sugar content of the body. These are some of the important chemical products coming from Ayurveda. They are natural. So in many ways I'm talking about chemicals, but these are not really classified as chemicals. These are very powerful herbal products. But I want to leave you with one last concept here. And this is it. You see, there has been a lot of talk about toxins in some products out there. And people are saying that one has to be careful with respect to the kinds of products that you pick up, the kinds of herbal products that you purchase, because these products may very well carry lead, mercury, and similar kinds of chemicals inside. We see quite a lot on the internet. A lot of it is being propagated at this point in time. But the source of these products is also playing a very important role. And at the center we have products which is coming from excellent sources where they carry out tests. They do a lot of tests on these products, tests in terms of the soil itself where the product is grown, right? Tests in terms of the product itself when they get the product out from the factories that will actually produce the product. The factory environment is also tested. And so a lot of things are being done with respect to testing it according to standard testing procedures, right? These are standard procedures. Some of the products are coming from centers where they're doing research. So they're trying to find out the best ways in which these products can be made, the best percentages and things like that. Now today I also see something happening on the internet which I think is of interest to you. I see people are taking a lot of the products which are present in Ayurvedic medicines and they're making them up, mixing them up. I don't know how they're making it, so let me not talk about that. But I see it appearing in different medicines, and I see they give it a different name, and these products are on stream. You're calling it with a different name and they're selling these products. But I want to tell you about a synergistic way in which an Ayurvedic product is made. Synergy means that these products are built in a specific way, made in a specific way, specific percentages, accurate procedures. Some of them will go through tens and tens of procedures before you can actually come up with the final product. Some of them will go through pounds and pounds of the product before they can find one little bottle coming out of it. So Ayurvedic products are made in a particular way, specific way. And not only that, these things are made in such a way that they are still adhering to the ancient practices, and for some reason these things are working very well. So the Ayurvedic practitioners are saying it is because of the synergistic benefit that you get, the integrated benefit that you get from these products. So these are some of the interesting things I wanted to talk to you today about detoxification, and I can summarize very quickly before we close the program off. First of all, detoxification is a medical program, a medical process, and you should be guided with respect to it. Secondly, there are a lot of products out there on the market, and simply taking a product and detoxifying just one aspect of the body is not the ideal method of detoxification. Third, if you are convalescing, very weak and very sick, as I would say, very too much of medical problems, or breastfeeding, or if you are pregnant, it's not advisable to go through this detoxification process. Next, if you are going through the process of fasting, or you're refraining from eating certain kinds of food and you're following some kind of specific diet, you have to be careful, because you're going to be losing important ingredients from your system. The other important point is you have to make sure that when you are going through the process, that you're guided with respect to the kinds of products that you use, the timing and detoxing, and so many other aspects of making sure that you're going through the right things so that you have the full benefit of this process. You need to be guided. You also need to understand the importance of rejuvenation when it comes to detoxification. So these are some of the important. The video is going to be back on YouTube. It is going to be on vvoice.com, and we are going to also put it on Facebook and a couple other places. So vvoice.com has quite a number of interesting things for you. I would like to invite you to come on board. So just go on your computer and type in vvoice.com. It's www.vvoice.com, and go there, because we are actually putting on a lot of stuff there. There's things on education, things on health, things on medicine, well-being. We have lots of news items, issues, so many things, beautiful videos, entertainment that you can watch. And let me tell you this site is actually updated every day. We are doing new things happening there. Of course, you'll see me there as well, so you can start thinking about coming on board the stream with us. And if you have any suggestions of programs that you'd like to see us putting on vvoice.com or on YouTube or anywhere, as a matter of fact, please give me a shout. You will see the number on the screen. We're going to be adding an email address if it is not there. We're going to put one as well, so you can communicate with me and with anyone from the organization. I'd like to thank the technical staff, the technical guys there, the director of the program, who have been spending time and lots of hours in terms of putting all of these things together for the benefit of everyone out there. So with that, I'd like to say to you, detoxification must be guided and should be handled by someone in the medical profession, be it from the natural side or from the conventional medical side. But these days, people are going more so for the natural medical side, and something that has been going on for centuries. But nevertheless, take guidance. It is a good thing. So, God's blessings to you, and thank you very much for watching this program.